everybody. Thanks for joining us. Patriot Son podcast, episode 130. Incredible how many
Special
episodes.
special Friday edition for the early birds.
Absolutely special Friday edition. We could talk about all the things. We could be reactionary, but instead we choose to bring on experts, like former Lieutenant Law Enforcement Officer Paul Gant. And we want to actually talk about something serious and what is lawful self defense. Before we get into the case that everybody's talking about, Paul, law enforcement officers, doesn't matter who it is, whether it's ICE. I'm not going to get into the arguments of jurisdiction or anything like this, but we've talked about this many times, the use of force continuum and what's
That's correct.
lawful in that. And can you kind of walk our audience through what that really means to an officer involved in anything in how they escalate the useful force of continuum?
So the use of force continuum is a set of actions and reactions that are set forth in state, local, and federal law enforcement training. So your presence on the scene is the first level on the use of force continuum. Engaging the person in conversation is the second. If that person moves and you go to detain them, you lay hands on, that's the third level of use of force. They resist arrest or fight you in some way, and you've got to use your trained defensive moves and tactical moves to subdue that person. That's the next use. And then finally is the deadly force when you think you or the people that you protect are in imminent danger.
So I want to make sure the audience is well aware of the bona fides that you have in this. First, you've been in these experiences before. Second, you've also written, I can't remember the legal language, but you've explained to judges why these things were necessary at certain levels, or even requested warrants extending beyond
That's correct.
actions.
Yeah.
It could you got a few minutes, whatever
Yeah.
you can give us there.
So when you write a warrant, you are the affiant. That's the technical term.
Okay.
And so once you collect your data and collect your evidence in order to get a search warrant, which, by the way, as a sidebar, a search warrant is not easy to get. You can't just say, hey, I see that guy going in and out of the house every day at 4:15 and people come over and they're slinging dope in there. That's not going to get you a search warrant. So there's several things you got to do, including you could tap their phone, you could do visual surveillance, we used to steal trash. On trash night, we grab trash bags and take them back to the office and dump them out and sift through them and see if we could find some kind of evidence, especially with the marijuana guys. They're pretty lazy. And then you would write your affidavit to the judge, and the judge would review it. And a lot of times the judge would go, I see where you're going with this, but we need just a little bit more. All judges always err on the side of the bad guy, just to make super sure that it's fair, clear cut, and there's no ambiguity at all. So I'm not going to go down the Visa rabbit hole.
Oh, yeah.
But that's even harder to get.
That's a podcast all in itself.
That's even harder to get is some kind of FISA.
So when we would usually, yeah.
So it likens. So we had to get an order in order to do what they called a PIN register on a phone. So a PIN register is you can monitor the phone calls or the numbers coming in and out, but you're not listening to the calls. You just see the numbers coming in and out, then you track them down. And if it's a known guy with a history of drugs and stuff that, you log that up in your evidence for your search warrant.
So that's like where the feds, it doesn't matter what agency says, "Hey, Verizon, we need a PIN run." But they're just getting cell phone, or they're getting phone data back and forth, being just there was a transaction between phone number A and B.
That's correct, but
Okay.
we don't contact Verizon. We get an order from the judge, and the judge orders Verizon to cooperate. That's the affidavit. The affidavit is a command to Verizon to provide XYZ police department to provide a PIN register on a certain number. And then you can monitor the other numbers that are coming in and out of there. Now, if you get enough phone numbers that are related to bad guys or guys with history and stuff like that, you go back to the judge and you say, I want a wiretap. This guy's moving millions of dollars in dope. He's got a racketeering influence, corrupt organization that he's operating. He's got 5 locations. We could tell he's got like 25 employees. We need to hear what's going on. And so the judge would issue an affidavit for a wiretap.
So another thing go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And then you take the evidence from that wiretap, combine it with your stealing trash, combining with so marijuana growers, would put tinfoil over their windows and stuff like that. So we would take a helicopter with a FLIR unit and we'd fly up and down the neighborhood, and all these houses are about, X amount. And then there's one house that's like glowing like a, just off the chain glowing. Well, you add that to your, all the houses in the area are about $125 a month. This guy's $600 a month consistently,
Yeah, he's totally just growing iguanas. That's all
right.
he's doing.
Yeah, that's right. And so
lucrative business. Yeah. Right.
So at the end of the day, then you can get a search warrant to go execute on this person's house.
So I'm going to use terms that are current that the left would use. They specifically use these terms. You were building reasonable, articulable suspicion. Now I want to correlate that to an interaction with somebody you have in a law enforcement action. You know where I'm going with this whole thing, which will be the video or videos that I do bring up of the ICE involved shooting in Minneapolis. So that gets very greatly condensed when it's your building, and I'm using their terms for a very specific reason: reasonable, articulable suspicion, because that's what their lawyers will use against ICE or in any other law enforcement agency. When we'll play the video soon, Paul, but when let's just explain. So ICE gets out of a couple of vehicles, and they obviously they have reasonable suspicion. So
yeah, this particular case, this local Minnesota woman had been on scene at the ICE protest all day and was a primary antagonist to the ICE agents all day, not just the scene right here, but for like 8 hours. She had been on them and on them. They had pushed her away. They were extremely lenient with her, in my view, that they, didn't arrest her earlier in the day. They just, shoved her and pushed her and get out of here and, that kind of thing. And she kept coming back, kept coming back, kept coming back. So now the officer, ICE agent that was in front of the vehicle has many years experience. He's a supervisor. Let me know if I'm getting ahead.
Yeah, no. Let's go ahead and play. I've got the best video I have so far is a synced up video of the actual officer involved in the shooting, and then synced up to another video. It's less than a minute. Let's watch this, and then let's have a really good conversation about this whole incident.
That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking veteran. You want to come at us? You want to come at us?
So the video on the right is the actual ICE officer.
Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car. Whoa!
You mean it's his video?
It's his video from his own cell phone.
Okay.
All right, so Paul, based off just that limited evidence, if somebody was paying you, I don't know, $3,000 an hour to come in and give advice to a lawyer in a self-defense case for a non-officer, like if it's me and my lawyer says I need to call an expert, somebody like Paul or Steve that you and I had did a podcast with, what is the first thing you're looking at from this video evidence? Because you don't have all of the body cams, you don't have all of the other stuff. What are you looking at as a self-defense expert to determine if just determine whatever, I guess.
So, yeah, there's a couple of things that occur to me right off the top. This is different than a protester jumping on the hood of a moving car or trying to keep them from leaving, jumping on a law enforcement car. This is different. This agent had taken up a tactical position at the front of the vehicle while his partner was trying to extract the woman out of the car.
Yes.
So he took up a tactical position up front, get out of the car.
And you hear that clearly. Get out of the car. There was absolutely no doubt that was said more than once.
More than once. Yep.
Yeah.
And she locked the doors or had the doors locked. He couldn't get the door open. And she floors it. If you noticed in that video, the front wheel spin.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It wasn't like she's trying to just kind of nose on out of there. She tried to ram the guy while he was in a tactical defensive position.
So there's been other videos. You can go back through our archives on this podcast, Patriot Sons, on Rumble. By the way, I quickly have to mention, just hear me out. Rumble Wallet, by the way, we now have a tip jar on Rumble Wallet. You can send us tips on it. It's a good time. It's a really good time. And one of the great things about Rumble Wallet is that it's encrypted. So Rumble doesn't hold your money. You hold your money and you can send it to one of your friends and then they will hold your money. Unlike any central banking system that the Fed is trying to set up. You just
can't resist.
I had to put that one in there. So, well,
kind of like Rumble Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So, well, yeah, actually, you could tip us in Bitcoin too. But if you're watching this, you can just hit the tip button. We're providing you with great analysis and expertise. So there you go.
So there's some contingent things going on here, right? That go to how this turned out.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, several months ago, the same ICE agent was drugged 300 feet trying to stop an illegal Venezuelan from fleeing the scene um, in Minneapolis. He received 15 stitches in his leg. He had road rash like a motorcycle accident. I saw pictures of him in the hospital, and it was gruesome, gruesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes to his state of mind, as in to the point where I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to stand in front of a car after I was drugged by a car unless I feel like I can have a tactical position and do something about it to help stop her.
Okay, yeah, no, that's one of the questions that's going out. I actually talked with JC about this earlier pre-show about a different conversation. Is that a lot of the internet is dragging this guy because he's like, why would you walk in front of if you're claiming a vehicle as a weapon? Why would you walk in front of it? And you're saying he actually, you're saying he wasn't trying to put himself in front of it.
He wasn't trying to put himself in front of the car. He was trying to take up a tactical position to protect his partner, who had both hands with no gun in it, trying to get the door open to extract her. You can't extract somebody. You got your 9mm in your hand. You're trying to grab her by one hand and pull her out. That's not how it works.
That's a great point.
Partner has to back you up, and you go gun free and do
disarmed,
that. That is an accepted tactic in law enforcement. It happens all the time.
So we took use of force continuum. We explained that. We took how you get an affidavit, but let's condense all of it to this situation specifically. These guys are having to make lawful decisions in mere 90 seconds. 90 seconds is the entire time of their engagement. Ultimately, the decision to shoot to kill was about half a second tops.
At the very most.
Right. Walk
You
us
have to
through what
process
that's like.
all of that information. And so that goes to a couple of things. How many people are in the car? Can you see her hands on the steering wheel? Does she have one hand down? Is your partner exposed to danger? The window was down. And so I say there was increased danger because the window was down. She had as much access to him as he had to her. So she could have easily pulled out a 9mm or something and dotted his eye right there. And so the covering officer is digesting all of this information at a blazingly fast rate.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I don't deploy anymore is because I've lost that edge. I'm not as fast as
we could talk about losing the edge on I Am the Science because there's a lot of credibility to that with aging people. Any people, doesn't matter who they are.
Yeah.
I asked one question. This guy, that was like the most amazing thing I've seen, to go from standing, just simply blocking the car, supporting his partner, to being ready to fire the only thing I've seen anything close to it is like Kyle Rittenhouse in Kenosha. I mean, the trigger discipline was just amazing that he could be ready to fire in that that amount.
And he fired one shot and split her cranium open. Just
and
under stress.
And for any under direct, I mean, he had to assess that in no time and get that out there and do it. And he did it, and sorry, liberals, it went through the front window, which means he was in front of the car. There's no way to put it through the front window if you're not in front of the car, and she's hitting the accelerator and her wheels are spinning on the ice. You can't deny these facts.
So then we'll get into great points, JC. Let's get into Well, there was a second and third shot fired. Paul, I gotta ask you, with all the law enforcement training and the military training, but I'm looking at law enforcement training for this question. When you need to eliminate a threat, does it matter how many times you eliminate a threat legally?
No. So most agencies, including federal, train what's called the double tap method. Bang bang. You shoot twice. And he shot twice. The first one went right through and killed her. And the second one hit the A pillar as he was rolling out to the side. And he was like that, actually, while he was getting out of the way.
So that I'm just again referring to your experience. Another huge complaint is that ICE, law enforcement, refused someone who claimed they were a doctor and said call 911. Is that normal procedure?
Yeah. You mean a medical person comes up on the scene
Yeah, well, apparently someone came
and
and said,
says, "Hey, I'm a doctor. Let me
I'm
look
a
at her."
doctor, let me look at her. And I
No, number
said,
one, this
no,
is a crime
call,
scene. Number
they
two, I
told
don't know
the
who you are.
doctor to call 911.
Yeah.
And you got
Well, that's normal. You get people around you to help you. I mean, I've asked civilians to help me get people out of a car.
okay, well, the argument is that, and there's a video evidence of it, that somebody goes to ICE and says, I'm a doctor, let me in. And ICE said, no, call 911 for us.
Right.
And they
You get your ass
denied,
fired.
they
You will get your
denied,
ass fired in 2 seconds, Sean, if you go, yeah, oh, you're a doctor? Yeah, come on in. Let's
Yeah,
triage
go
this
on in
guy.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. No. If the only thing you can do, Doc, is help me follow procedure. And procedure is to call an ambulance, code 3.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to do that, I'll do it as soon as I holster up.
yeah, as soon as you get the F out of my face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Look, this is why. Listen, I get it. I get it. You want to watch Candace Owens or you want to watch Megyn Kelly or Tucker Carlson. This is the place you really need to watch because we're giving you real life experience
That's
about
right.
what happens with these things, and we're giving it to you better than anybody else does it.
Listen,
I know we're
I've been in a
early
couple of
tonight.
shootouts, and it just doesn't go by the textbook. Every time is different. It
Every
just goes
time
by
is
the
different.
yeah.
And I don't want you to make a public judgment on this, but what would if you were asked to be an expert to help with the grand jury in this case that I'm sure Minnesota is going to try to bring against this officer?
Gee,
Is,
Yeah.
you think
is there
You think
some
Keith
advice?
Ellison's going to bring a grand jury? Really?
They'll try it. I mean, they'll try
Yeah.
anything. All they have is hate.
Yes.
Is there, or maybe you don't tell us. You just tell us you need to hire an expert like me.
Yeah.
So yeah, based on my experience and what I witnessed in analyzing the videos and stuff, which I've been watching all day, basically in between conference calls, is that my recommendation would be give that dude the meritorious
Yeah.
service award.
He should get a medal. He really should.
Yep. Yep.
That was
Well,
top tier. That was top tier law enforcement right there.
unless
Right,
anybody
yeah.
wants to drop comments,
Got mine.
all of our comments are open. You can argue with us. We might actually post it up on the
Yeah.
top of the stream. If you guys don't want to comment, we're going to keep going because we pretty much covered this. I want to because we have Paul also on, who has a second career. let's just get into let's just start shooting it up, and we get JC into this conversation now. And we got Venezuela, we got Iran, we got Great Britain losing all their power, and they're terrified by it. We've got Russia laughing at everybody, rightfully so. JC, where do you want to start with this stuff?
Well, before we leave this, I want to point out one thing. Every new piece of data, actual empirical evidence that comes out vindicates the officer. Every single one. I've heard an audio tape of the bump of the car hitting him. It makes a sound, and it's on the audio. There is audio
Th-
tape
This
of
is
the
your opinion, not professional
yes,
legal advice.
yes, but of the wife encouraging her to get out of here. I mean, floor it. I mean, that's basically and yes, this is all that this can all be sorted through in a court of law, but there's not one thing that's been brought out that contradicts anything that Paul has said or that contradicts anything that it looks like exactly what it was. And yes, this guy was quick, but man, if I'd been dragged, 30 blocks or whatever by a guy doing the same thing to me, I'd be quick too. I mean,
Yep.
that's not something you care to repeat.
Well,
That's right.
all right, I will move on to the next thing. But you bring up a point that I think it's the Adam Kinzingers and the Eric Swalwells are out there
Oh,
saying that
yeah,
these are untrained people, and we did talk about this earlier today. No, these are highly trained people who were able to make that assessment
right.
of what I can lawfully do to prevent my own harm and execute it in less than half a second.
This was elite law enforcement, in my opinion, elite law enforcement behavior. And I mean, it was all in the blink of an eye, and it was over. When you got to the action, it was breathtaking. Really, how
Paul, when you were
amazing.
25, were you that fast? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Is that how old this guy is? I don't know anything about
I have no idea. I'm just we're not
him.
25.
I
That's
was
No, I'm
plenty
not.
fast up until my 50s.
Okay,
wow. That's really
But
right.
impressive.
I trained all the time.
Mhm.
Trained all the
Okay, so
time.
Sean,
If I wasn't at the range, I was in the gym. And my whole team was like that.
all right. Well,
Because
that's
I
how you
said,
get good.
you're not going to
Yeah,
lose. You're not going to get beat up. We're not going to have some kind of big dog and pony show. You're going to take care of business. In order to take care of business, you got to go to the range and you got to go to the gym.
you got to be ready.
Well,
Yeah,
you also don't want to be one of these chicks that gets beat up on the side of the road. You know what? Chicks are great. We all like chicks, but they're not prepared to handle this.
They're
I don't.
not.
I don't like them if they're as mouthy as these gals were.
Were those actually chicks or were those
I don't.
programmed
I don't know what they were.
Marxists?
Bots. Yeah.
There's a
It-
no, not bots, programmed Marxists. And that
right.
that's a thing we could totally you and I, JC, could totally do a whole show about the programming 1950 to now,
Yes.
Marxists that we invited in, but since we have Paul, I want to move to everybody calling for or Lindsey Graham calling for war in Iran and Trump just going,
Uh,
ha, 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 only if I have to. So
Sean, if you
political
want,
thoughts. I'm not asking you to tell anything that you might know. Political thoughts of Trump laughing at Lindsey Graham, and
It's
uh,
priceless.
only if we have to because it's Trump. He's like, if I
Yeah.
have to, I will.
Yeah.
right, but I don't think he's going to have to. I mean, I keep hearing the left try to downplay these protests, but from what I've seen, these are the real deal. And Trump is doing exactly what he should be doing, which is telling the Iranian regime, let them have their say. Do not do not kill them. And I mean, whereas they've off hundreds of protesters in the past. At this point, this time I think it's like 19 or something like. I mean, after what he did with Maduro, leaders of other nations listen to him. What is it? You remember the Edward the Longshanks in Braveheart? It could be my head in the box, or it could be
Get
me
out of
on that
my
boat.
head! I was laughing. I was making Longshanks jokes all day long. Well, but it was actually against our own politicians. I'm like, oh, are you are you the Bruce? You're pro Longshanks?
Robert the Bruce. Yeah.
Well, so at the end of the day, what's happening on the ground is it started out as one thing, and then it morphed into we want our country back. We want the mullahs gone. We want our women to wear skirts uncovered. We want, this was all brought on, remember, by the baristas and the store owners and the shop owners. 43% inflation. You can't survive. So it started out as one uh, angry protest, and now the whole country is going on it. And President Trump and Pete Hegseth are saying, well, they're pretty much doing what we want them to do, so we're good. We'll just monitor the
let them do it.
situation. We'll let them handle their thing. We're here to support if they need us.
I agree with your assessment. I think it is interesting that the Ayatollah is like, we'll up your socialism payments to $7 a month. And they're still out there rioting.
Yeah.
And he's throwing shit on X at Trump, the Ayatollah. But the president, because their government, you have to understand, everybody that's listening, their government is totally different than ours. It is not a democracy. It's definitely not a republic. Most of you that
it's
understand the
theocracy.
republic, it is a total theocracy. It is if the president of Iran wants to come meet Trump and the Ayatollah is throwing threats, there's a really big issue there where they have concern. And we can get into what we talked about on Monday, but if we need to, we got time to do it. But really, this is Trump resetting global order, the Great Reset, not the one you thought it was going to be. After post World War II, where everybody was ripping us off, everybody.
This is not your Euro's Great Reset. This is the Trump reset. And if you look at, and I'll yield to Paul. He knows a bit more about Venezuela than I do. But if you talk about a raw display of power, the idea that you can land. The guy lives in the biggest military base in Caracas, and you in 45 minutes you go in there and you knock out all their defense and you land helicopters at for the presidential compound, rip the son of a bitch out there, and take him away, and
so
you don't
badass.
lose one. You don't lose one man.
Dude,
I mean, you're talking about
super swagger.
No, Paul, to me, that's the shot heard around the world. I mean, these guys have all been wondering what's going to trigger the Great Reset. I mean, there it is. Okay. You're going to have to deal with this guy. All right. Or else it'll be your head in the box. Yeah.
The very first step towards rebuilding South America was 4 hours after that raid. The president of Colombia called President Trump, said, "Bro, how you been? Can we meet?
Can I come to the White House?
Yeah, I'd love to meet with you, pal. We got some mutual ground."
How's Melania? Yeah. Hey, Aaron doing okay? Yeah.
That's ultimately that's the goal that everybody screaming on the internet, doesn't matter what platform, whether it's CNN or Facebook,
Yeah.
they can't understand that this is so after World War II, we had the only manufacturing left. We did because everything was turned to rubble in Europe. That didn't mean they didn't get it back. They were, and how did they get that back? Because of the United States,
We paid for it. We paid for it.
right? Well, helped, right? We
Yeah.
help everybody,
Yeah. They never paid us back though, but yeah, we did help. Yeah.
and Trump's like he's been saying this. I've been telling everybody my entire life. He's been saying this from 1980s and 1990s Oprah shows where everybody loved him. He would say the world is ripping off. They're ripping us off.
Yeah.
We have to stop being ripped off. And he said, Band-Aid
Off it
pulled.
comes.
Pull.
Yeah.
I'm not funding your bullshit anymore. I quit. So now, if you want to play, make a deal.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
And the rules of Trumpism, to be clear for everybody that's new to our audience, the rules of Trumpism are this: is rule number 1, Trump wins. Rule number 2 is a deal can always be made as long as it adheres to rule 1. Some will question, well, what does it mean if Trump wins? Trump will tell you if he won. If not, there's no deal.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, you guys, this has been very systematic if you want to piece the threads together. The first thing he did was he came in and he picked off the easy low-hanging fruit, which was the Panama Canal. He just told Panama, "Hey, China's got to get out of here." And basically China's been neutralized in the Panama Canal. He started talking about Greenland, and Abby Phillip and the gang all said he was crazy and all the rest of that. And yet, in the context of bailing out Argentina, which raised a few eyebrows in the financial community, makes perfect sense. I mean, Brazil's an enemy. They've been playing footsie with the Chi-Com, so Argentina becomes strategically and politically far more important because you need allies in that region. Now,
I was
I'll
in
break some.
Argentina 2 years ago doing some work down there towards that goal, and
Yeah,
uh, yeah, they know what time it is in
yeah,
Argentina.
laying the groundwork for what's going on now, and basically, look at the results of that election. It worked. I mean, it worked in spades, and Milei is a strong ally. And now Brazil, who it looked like was a cesspool, we couldn't do anything with it. Now they're isolated, and this Venezuela thing is okay. We're going to $50 million worth of oil. Venezuela has the most gold reserves in all of the Western Hemisphere. Rare earth minerals, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Bring it on, And what are you guys going to do about it over there? I mean, this is hemispheric defense. You guys want to fight us about this?
It's
When
it's
we
it's it's more than hemispheric defense. When you look at the way Donald Trump is treating the European Union, which is almost in default, they have no
yes,
money. They
no
have no
money,
weapons. They have no nothing. They're
nothing
just
except
they're just a government above other governments. They have
except
no
hot air, except hot air and opinions, elite opinion. That's what they've got. One last thing. Do you think the Chinese are concerned that Iran and Venezuela uh, comprise 70% of their oil supply? That's not looking so good, is it? You think you're going to be able to invade Taiwan without 70% of your oil? Really?
uh, they might have enough in reserves to make a
And
go
they,
at
they
it.
might. They might. I mean, I'm sure once we get down to $25 a barrel, I'm sure he'll fill up ours again like he did last time. I mean, we're at 235 here. We're feeling rich.
Like, but I think what people are missing in all of this global reset, post World War II global reset, all right, is that the American taxpayers have just been absolutely abused beyond belief. But
Raped.
Donald Trump is going a step farther and be like, look, he even said today, look, if China wants Taiwan, China wants Taiwan. He didn't say I'm not concerned about it. He just said they want Taiwan. He's just going, look, we're done being the piggy bank for Europe, specifically Great Britain or Europe. Oh, well, Great Britain, England. Sorry. We're done. So from here on out, when it comes to global affairs, we are the supremacist, a word that is going to be very hated by the Marxist liberals of the world. Yeah, go ahead.
One last question for both of you. If everyone is freaking out about how your currency is going to be devalued and it's losing its value and all the rest of that, what better way to stabilize your currency than to take the president of the nation with the largest gold reserves in the Western Hemisphere and put him in a courtroom? I think there's an element of a deal there. Just a thought.
No. Like, so all of those things are on the table. If you're asking for my opinion, it wasn't just about the oil. It
I
wasn't
know
just about the gold. It wasn't just about the mineral rights. We
about
again,
all of
can
it.
we add in there where British banking systems, offshore British banking. Like, there is so much here that Donald Trump put into play that changed all of global
Everything.
supremacy.
Everything.
But
Well,
people just generally can't focus on the totality of it. They have to pick a subject and just argue.
Oh, but that's why they tune in here.
so I believe that the issue with the currency and stuff um, is a byproduct of what's going to happen. They'll bring in Sarbanes Oxley, that get their accounting system straightened out, and because of these other actions, the value will come back um, to the currency there.
Did you guys see, at least partially see, Trump with the? There's many more than he had there. Oh, the oil execs today. And he
Oh,
flat called him out. He said, "Hey, if you don't want to be a part of what I'm doing, get
get
out.
out.
I will." There's 30 more oil companies.
Yeah,
I can send Landman, the show popular on CBS. I can send Landman in, and we're gonna fucking fix this. So are you in?
Are you
yeah,
out?
And all those oil executives were like, "Yes, sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir." I mean,
Speaking as a man,
when's the last time in history, maybe besides Lincoln or Washington, you saw a president use his executive orders, executive power in the way that Trump does?
I've never. No, there's no historical precedent. Uh, the fact is that the Congress has never been this corrupt. I mean, clearly, Article 5 was drafted by George Mason back in Virginia as a way to propose amendments that would rein in congressional corruption, but that would have to get the state legislatures out of their own torpor, which they suffer from the same thing. And we keep hearing skirmishes about that in North Carolina and Indiana and Missouri, in these other places, or Texas, for God's sake, which is fighting off Islamism. I'm just stunned by all
Right.
that, Paul. The number of mosques down there
Yeah.
is just insane.
It's
So the
insane,
fact that
dude.
insane. The state legislatures with drunk Dade Phelan and the rest of them aren't going to ride to our rescue. So it has to be Trump himself with dedicated lieutenants at the top, and then it spreads downward, and they're met by the grassroots from the bottom that are going to support him. And they are urgently trying to demoralize us on all fronts. The idea of anyone voting Democrat is insane. All right, because as Reagan says, when great forces are on the march, that's what's going on. Great forces are on the march right now, every day, almost every news cycle. He runs at the speed of sound almost, and he's lighting so many fires that the left can't put him out. I mean, there's going to be a breakthrough. There has to be, doesn't there? Maybe.
Oh, yeah. So, Sean, that Trump did the same thing with the defense industry that he did with the oil companies. And Raytheon said, yeah, we're not going to play. And he said, that's fine. You think you're the only one that builds missiles?
Go to hell. Yeah.
Oh, wait. You think you're the only one that builds missiles? And we know people that build missiles that don't break. I mean, just snapped his neck in a room full of 50 people.
That's again, it goes back to I don't think America, and I get that everybody on one particular side just absolutely hates the guy. But if they just understood what we're talking about, I
Yeah.
don't think besides I said Lincoln and Washington, there's ever been a guy that could lead a country out of the war we're actually in. It's an ideological war, not
Sean, it's the culture war. He's the first American president in the culture war. That's what he is.
Well, I think
He's the first one that was willing to fight it.
Let me ask this question. Do you think he could get them? Could he get them to the point where they defend Russian oil tankers that are flagged as Venezuelans and to support the Russians against Trump?
Paul, Trump is an expert at getting the left to support the 20 on every 80-20 issue. So I believe he can do it. I mean, personally, he's not as popular as I would prefer, but he certainly knows how to choose his enemies. And I look at that Democrat, one last political comment. I look at the Democrat Congress congressional approval rating. And when I listen to Cassandra like Mark Mitchell about how all is lost, I'm like, how the hell is somebody going to get elected to Congress with a 17% approval rating? It doesn't make sense. He's bloodied them up. I mean, he's basically the only game in town. Anyway, this is the age of Trump.
All right. Yeah, we got to close it out soon.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
The marching band's a thing. By the way, the Oregon Ducks playing the Indiana Hoosiers. Hoosiers. By the way, turning point action.
Our host is in Indiana, or Paul and I would go on for another hour because we know you're
turning
interested.
point action calls Hoosiers Indianans. Well, we're getting close. It's on, but hold on. Oh, where I want to go with this is I really want to get into this thing about. Can you guys give me like 10 more minutes?
Yes.
This whole legal observer thing that has been put out, which isn't. It's not a. It could be a thing, but it's not a thing. A legal observer technically would be somebody in the law profession of criminal law who just films and observes. But these two chicks, right, that we saw from the video we posted earlier, Renee being one of them, claim they were legal observers. Paul, do legal observers, don't they have to follow the same thing as any other civilian when observing law enforcement?
Oh, yeah. There's no special rules for them or anything. And my experience with legal observers is they all have an agenda. They're paid. Legal observers are paid. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to lean towards whoever's signing their paycheck.
Let me just say, when I first heard this term legal observer and all of a sudden it made its way all through the dominant media, I thought to myself, You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like calling George Zimmerman a white Hispanic. And I had never heard that
No,
term.
no, 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 no. Go back and remember before we had X. So we'd see stuff on YouTube. We'd see stuff on everywhere. Think of this term of First Amendment advocate. And these douchebags were going into post offices
Yeah.
and they're just being total
I
douchebags.
remember
They have
that.
a
Yeah.
lawful right to do so, which they
Yeah.
do. And if the post office or law enforcement that showed up to deal with it, because they had no idea, they're like, post office called me. They say there's this weirdo just
First
filling my
Amendment,
wall.
First
He's
Amendment
just
advocate.
filling the walls. He's pissing everybody off. He's being super aggressive in his verbal, not physically, but verbally. He's like, I'm allowed to do this. It's the First Amendment, freedom of the press. Yeah, technically, freedom of the press. True, but you're just being in general a douchebag, a total
Right.
douchebag.
Yeah.
And then the cops would show up, and they had no idea what was going on. They also didn't know that there was a federal code of regulations that said that it was totally allowable to be in the building. So the postmaster's arguing with the cops, arguing with the idiot. YouTube content,
Right.
massive YouTube content. If I could just drive around the world or the United States, and this is what you got to get if you look at it, start putting it together. They learned how they could monetize this, and now they have all these schools
Right.
that teach people how to do this against ICE
Yes.
or against anyone else, any
Yeah.
other law enforcement agency.
Yep.
But of course, what they do, the first thing they do is they make up a term. Legal observer is I mean, I suppose it's true, but it's a made up term. But what I was saying earlier that may have sounded a little weird, but I'd never heard of a white Hispanic before George Zimmerman, but they needed him to be white because he shot a black kid. So the ends justify the means. You do realize that George Zimmerman was no more white than Barack Obama. If you look at their ethnicity, so it was an absolute falsehood. And legal observer, I mean, doesn't that just mean private citizen? What it confers some sort of office, doesn't it? Like you're some sort of expert? Oh, you're just, you have a First Amendment right to
Right.
speak and to record things and whatever. But that,
No, no, no,
there's
no.
nothing special about these two girls
Well,
other than their
I mean,
stupidity.
obviously, it's been so. Legal Observer today is an activist, absolutely an activist, and we've seen that for years. And you know what? The YouTube guys that got super monetized by doing this on the First Amendment, you know
Yeah.
what? Good for them for making a whole shitload of YouTube cash because they were lawfully allowed to do it, but they were assholes,
Yeah.
complete
Of course.
assholes.
Most of them are.
Absolutely, and they screwed you. Where did they get money? It wasn't from YouTube.
That's right.
From suing cities or local governments and winning cash awards because a cop didn't quite understand what was happening. And to that, a lot of people say, "Fuck the cops," and I say, "No, fuck you."
It
I'm
was
gonna
a logical It was a logical follow-up to Jesse Jackson's racial shakedowns on, diversity, where he'd say, "Oh, Anheuser-Busch doesn't have enough black people working there, so we need $2 million not to protest," and so they'd pay him the $2 million to go away. I mean, it's classic nuisance money, and if people are established and they're making a lot of cash, they'll pay it. And you pointed out how those corporate chieftains or whatever in defense and everything else all folded before Trump. Well, I would quote no less of an expert, Paul, than Osama bin Laden, who said if people see a strong horse and a weak horse, they prefer the strong horse. And America finally has a strong horse in the Oval Office, and the business community is bending the knee to him in
Yeah.
much the same way they bended the knee to Black Lives Matter. because they're just trying to protect themselves. That's all they're doing, and they're not going to be some sort of principled left wing activist like Democrats dream they are. No, they're for hire. Anyway,
Yeah.
just a little bit of cynicism to wrap up the show, right?
Final monologues, gentlemen. Final monologue.
Hey, this was fun.
Get out of here,
No,
dude.
thank you,
Isn't
gentlemen.
what we do always
Yeah.
fun? I know, not always, but most of the time
Not
it is.
always.
Final monologues. Thoughts on whatever we said tonight.
I'll give you a call over the weekend. I need to talk agenda for Sunday night. The pastor wants to know what we're going to talk about ahead of time.
Okay.
I
Okay.
can't wait. That'll be fantastic.
It's going to be fun, dude.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You'll love this guy.
I'm sure I will. I mean, if he's a friend of yours, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sean,
you
do you want
couldn't
me to
build
say
up there while I was writing on the news scroll.
I'm just
What's your end monologue, JC?
for me.
Yeah.
Go Hoosiers.
We'll go Hoosiers, of course. I would just recommend. So my end monologue is going to be this: protests are legal as long as they're lawful, and there's a difference between a lawful protest and an unlawful protest. And it's pretty easy to look up what those parameters are. And if you want to go protest, I will say, I want you to protest. I really do. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel like you're getting the thing out. You're doing the thing. That's great. I want to put in, and JC, I want to add this real quick. I had the aunt we've talked about on this podcast.
Yes.
Oh, she
I
sent
received
me
one of her texts, right? Yeah, there you
she sent me a text yesterday. It said
go.
basically, dear, I can't have contact with you anymore because I believe you're a Trump supporter, and I can't
Oh.
believe the evil that he does.
The evil
I'm
show.
gonna leave that as a teaser for Monday.
Please. That's so awesome.
Let's go.